Welcome to Empower Her Voices, our global series phase 2. I'm your host Faiza, and today we are here with another exciting episode. Today's episode is really special. Why? Because it is going to cover something which can and which is creating a lot of change, and it has a lot of impact. So when we talk about literacy and leadership, which can actually transform young lives, so to improve how we can explore these things, how we can explore the innovative models, what is actually equity driven leadership, and how it can transform the lives of children and families around us. For this special episode, we have an amazing guest with us who has like decades of experience when it comes to K to 12 education and beyond that. And specifically when it's about, because her mission is to uplift learners, break generational barriers, and empower educators and parents, specifically with research based strategies that actually create a real long lasting impact. We have with us Dr. Lisa Hassler. And first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Lisa, for taking time out and specifically for supporting this cause, which is meant for the young girls and women around the world. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor, truly. Thank you for the invitation. And I'm just excited to be able to share and be a part of this community, which I just feel is very important right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Lisa, before that, we are going to proceed towards the set of questions that we have to, get benefit from your wisdom and expertise. Can you walk us through your entire journey, like starting from stepping out from the university or the college to a place where now you're changing the lives around you, where you're creating impact for the communities? So we would just like to know what was that journey overall, and how did it impacted actually your entire life?
Yeah. So it started actually, I was 17 and in high school, and we had
Okay.
in our high school a really wonderful program, and it was about teaching students how to be teachers. And so it was
Oh, wow.
it was a preschool program, and you had to
Okay.
apply to it, and then it taught you how uh, to not only have like the social emotional background to be able to be a teacher, but then taught us lesson planning and everything. And I was teaching little
Mm,
3-year-olds, the youngest 3-year-olds. That was my first step into teaching. And um,
wow.
and now I'm actually part of a university, National Louis University, and helping dissertation candidates. And I'm excited that now my journey is at the end of the terminal degree where I can actually hood
Wow.
doctors in
Sounds good.
education. So it went all the way from like the littlest 3-year-olds all the way now to a terminal degree. And the journey went all the way through. I was able to go back to school. I actually I did a little detour right after high school, and I got married and I
Okay.
had children, and then I
Wow.
continued to pursue education. So a class here, a class there. It took me 11 years to get my associate's degree, but I never gave up because I
Mm,
wanted to be able to be a teacher. And so I think it's very possible when you are a mother, even, that you can still take those
yeah.
classes. They all add up. And so, with
True.
determination and a goal in mind, I kept pursuing. And then I was able to do my bachelor's in elementary education. I went back after my son and daughter. I have 4 kids. My son and daughter were on the spectrum. It was a bit tough
Okay.
for me at that point, so I
Mhm.
couldn't jump into a master's. I had to spend a lot of time at home with them. And I used everything that my degree gave me to try to help enable and empower them, especially when it came to reading. And then when I went to my master's, I actually designed my master's and my doctorate based off of an experience that I had when I was out of the country, being a mother of a child who is autistic, and then seeing the way language and barriers really
Mm,
held people back, and being able to open up certain opportunities gave me the direction that I needed to be able to design my master's. And that's why I went into online teaching and learning, to be able to communicate and teach globally, and not just in my one little classroom. And then my
Mm,
doctorate was able to feed into that, and it extended that. So really, it just was this journey of being able to be fluid with what was happening in my life at the time, but never losing focus on my ultimate goal, and that was I always wanted to
mm,
be a teacher of teachers. And so, even though it was a long journey, it was one that, with
mm.
determination and perseverance, I was able to achieve, but being open and fluid to the opportunities that life had created around me to say, all right, well, this is the direction, but I'm still going to meet my goal. So it was it was a very colorful journey, and I'm very happy that I did it. And I think that it's one of never losing sight of what you really want, as a woman, as a girl, just to keep going for what you want in life.
Wow, wow, it's phenomenal and inspirational. And I really like the way you have framed that sentence that, you said that I never lose my focus. I remain focused towards what my goal was,
Mm.
and it was really fluid. So yeah, that's something I guess really important. And then how consistent you were, it's quite evident. You said, like, it took 11 years to pursue for one thing, but you remain focused that I have to do it. So being a mother, being an educationist, being a researcher, so it's quite inspirational. And I'm sure for the audience out there, if you're consistent and focused, like, Dr. Lisa is a live example in front of you, then you can actually achieve what you want to. Just, it's the main thing that you need to stay focused. So, Dr. Lisa, you just talked about, you started from early years, which is just like the young uh, playgroup, nursery, KGs, and earlier learners, and then all the way up to the university and obviously the graduate. So when we talk about literacy, because you have been through starting from K to 12 and beyond the university level, so
Mhm.
your research is literacy, like it's focusing on the language, how it can actually explore more opportunities or can uplift the family. So how do you see that literacy can actually impact, or the role of literacy in shaping the life of a child or supporting the long term, socioeconomic change? Do you think it's that important that it can actually make an impact on the socioeconomic factor as well?
Yes. Yeah, so when I was doing my, doctorate research, I was focused on how, distance education in 2nd grade could impact 3rd grade
Right.
reading levels. And 3rd grade reading levels were, just noted as a really crucial, point in a child's reading career, where if they were not reading on level at that point, then there was a higher likelihood of high school dropout, which then would impact their socioeconomic futures, what opportunities they had when it came to jobs, how would they support themselves and their families.
Sure.
And so it really, it even impacts, I hate to say it, but in prison and, going to jail, because how are you going to be able to support your family if you don't have the
Yeah.
means? And then, you can go turn into, you still have to put food on the table is the way I look at it. And so one way
Mm,
or another, you're going to have to be able to support yourself. And so it really,
true.
it's a very important, factor that I don't think a lot of people
Mm,
realize just how crucial it is. And so that comes
mm,
back then into how are we teaching youngsters, in kindergarten, first, 2nd grade? How are we identifying when there's problems, and what are we doing to support them and their families? And so a lot of what I do now is based off of, being a mother of, a child, who had dyslexia, struggled immensely with reading, and not knowing then just how important it was, because I wasn't into the research at that point when it came to this. And so I look
mm,
back at how hard I pursued it, and how, I didn't give up, and the advocacy behind a mother wanting their child to be successful,
yeah.
and what you would do for that. And so I'm so glad that I did
Mm,
it, because the research was there to say that I did the right thing. Your instinct as a mother is always to, make sure that your child is
yeah.
achieving everything that they can. And so I'm
True.
really happy that I follow that instinct
Mm,
regardless of what society around me was telling me, like, "Oh, it's
yeah.
okay. Oh, just wait." It wasn't.
Mm,
I'm really glad I pushed, and I was
mm,
creative and resourceful enough to, to search for things that were maybe outside of the box and things that I could do even
Hmm.
at home, and how powerful that
Right.
was as an educator and as a mother for
As an
his
educator.
trajectory. And then having the students in my classroom and then realizing he's not alone. And there are many students that
Hmm.
struggle silently, and a child or a
Hmm.
parent doesn't fully understand what may be happening inside the brain. But it
Hmm.
really is our job to make sure that we consistently are looking. And that's one of the great things I think about what I'm doing now is helping parents connect them to resources so that their child too is able to be successful.
Hmm. True, true. Very well said. And while you were saying this, so there were a number of cases coming to my mind because being from education sector, at times, there are parents coming in, and when the child is facing problem in terms of reading, writing, or recognition, particularly for early years.
Yeah.
So, what I liked about the journey that you shared, that you were never in the phase of denial. You actually kind of, you recognized it early and then you worked on it. It's not something, because generally the challenge that we face is that parents went into denial, so they're
Mhm.
not accepting. So if your child is blessed with something special, that's fine. You need to support him. You need to provide all the support that he or she is looking for, and the way that you're doing right now, it's more power to you, and I'm sure that the community around you is getting a lot of benefit. So, Dr. Lisa, while we focus on your doctoral research, so you're examining the virtual school model specifically for
Mhm.
early years. So, what insights did you gain? Like how innovative this model could be? Because when you talk about the kids who are at the age of 3, 4, or 5, they tend to socialize with people around them, or when they meet with new people, they learn new skills. So if they're
Yeah.
going to a virtual model, so how do you see as overall impact, or how influence, what kind of influence it is going to have on the foundational literacy, and the student success it is going to have?
Yeah. So what I found is that while there's a place for virtual school and of course an age, so early
Yeah.
socialization is extremely important. While you can get your
Yes.
education, if you were to do it through a virtual
Mm.
model, there are still ways to
Yes.
socialize outside of that classroom setting,
Mm.
where you would maybe be
Yes.
involved in sports or art or family
Mm.
activities that would
Family.
take them outside. So there are ways for those socializations to still happen. In the classroom, I think that what was impactful for me is that I saw that I compared the entire state of Florida, all of our students that were in the seats of a public school and all of them that were in a virtual school, and being able to compare
Oh.
them with the same test over 5 years, and to see that
Mm.
patterns emerge. Even after my dissertation, 2 more years afterwards, I followed it, and what I saw was that the students that were in a virtual setting had been able to achieve or outperform the students that were in the face-to-face settings by 8 percentage points on their reading tests,
Oh.
um, which
Wow.
doesn't seem like a lot, especially when the numbers were rather low. Only
Yes.
55% of students in Florida at that time in 3rd grade were reading proficiently, whereas 64%
Oh.
of the virtual students were. Still low numbers. We should definitely be shooting for higher than 55 and 64%.
No, but
Um,
still, it's a
but
good
still
number.
it showed that the methods and the strategies were effective. And so what you
Mm.
could take from that then is to say, all right, well, that's the average student, that's the overall. Students with disabilities
Mm.
actually were outperforming by 16%, and students that
Wow.
were in low socioeconomic status were outperforming
Mm.
by 13%. So when you think about
Okay.
why is that we were able to have higher numbers for students with disabilities, for students overall, for students in low socioeconomic status
Mm.
um, groups. Why was that? And I think it has to do with being able to have high expectations, consistent
Okay.
delivery, and very focused
Mm.
planning with uh,
Mm.
with design. There's a lot of intention behind online teaching, and something we missed the mark on in COVID, clearly, because we were not all
Mm.
trained. But if you are trained, you would know that there is a theory of transactional distance, meaning something that you were talking
Okay.
about, like how are we making those connections, that socialization when they're very young? And of course, it's something that
Mm.
throughout, even up through university, you still have to make those connections between a teacher and a student. And so the theory of transactional distance really addresses the distance and the dialogue and the structure of a platform, of a class, to make sure that it's very intentional by design. Are we able to have those human connections? Are we able to make that downtime?
Mm.
What are we doing to be able to have engagement that is, important, that sticks? And
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
it's not really just kind of like shooting off the hip. I'm just going to hang out with some people online. It was so intentional because time is so very valuable, to
That is right.
everybody, to a student and to a teacher. And so when someone feels like you're wasting their time, or they feel like you're wasting theirs, I feel like there's a disengagement. So if you're very aware,
Mm-hmm.
structure it
True.
this way. I
Yeah.
can predictable, but I also know that my time is valuable and I have specific breaks in mind, that help me as a learner. So that feedback and support really help feed that dialogue. And so I found that it was very crucial. It was very important in the overall design of how we are supporting our learners, all the way down to the littlest reading levels, and it works. So I'm
Mm.
happy to report it is done well and done and
Yeah.
effectively. So I guess when we're all on board with it.
Yeah, I'm amazed by the numbers. Like, it's a very different new perspective. In fact, informative as well that you have shared. Being a mother, I was also interested in knowing about the answer for this thing, and you have answered it very well. That, apart from these, because, there are a couple of parents who ask these questions from us. And then you're like, we have experts to answer this. And the way you have answered that for the socialization or for the other bit, they can do it apart from their study time in
Yeah.
different other settings. That's Yes, please. You wanted to say something?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought, okay.
definitely a way
So, but
that.
I totally agree with you. And then the research that you have, I'm totally amazed that you said that the percentage was 64% as compared to the students who were attending live classes as
Yeah.
compared to the virtual one. So this is like very encouraging. So it
Mm,
means that if the model is being placed rightly with the right expertise and people and the settings, then it will work
yep.
because research is obviously backed up with fact and data. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Lisa, if going further, so you have an amazing podcast channel which is primarily meant for addressing the education system and different other stuff that obviously you are going to tell us. So it is like the bright side of education, right? So
Yes.
through your podcast, you highlight like innovative solutions, practical strategies for parents, students, and teachers, specifically the educators. So what gaps do you see in the education system that you're passionate about addressing, and how does that work which you're doing through that podcast is helping bridging those gaps?
Yeah, so I see that a lot of the gaps has to do with our time as a teacher. We don't have a lot of time to
Okay.
be going through journals,
Yeah.
reading the most recent research. A lot of times we're
True.
forced into professional development that may or may not have to do with what we're doing at the time. A lot of times it just has to
Hmm.
do with what's trendy at the moment, and school districts wanting to
Yes.
jump on board, and then they're making everybody
True.
do the same thing. And you're saying,
True.
that doesn't really apply to me, or, hey, I'm already doing that, so this feels like a little bit of a waste of my time. So I feel as though
Hmm.
being able to maximize our efficiency with our time recognizing that time is very important in everybody's life. And when
Yeah.
is a teacher have downtime to be able to absorb new things because, they're usually engaging in parent feedback and lesson planning, teaching itself. And so it's how do you find the time? So with the podcast,
Mm.
I found that if you take bite-size morsels of high content, and then you say, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to get right to the point. This is research backed. This is proven in a classroom or in a setting to work. It is
Mm.
effective. So it's tested. There's also recognized a gap where it's saying this is a real problem, and it's I'm
Yeah.
showing it with research. There's studies that are showing that this is a problem, but there's also showing
Mm.
studies showing that this little piece may work. And then you find someone that's doing it or someone that's created something because so many teachers are
Mm.
innovative. This isn't working, but
True.
I did this. And we want to share it with somebody else. Who doesn't want to
Yeah.
hear about what's working in their classroom?
True,
I'm
true,
having
true.
this problem, and then you say, "Oh, hey, I've got a solution for that because I had the same problem." Well, those are the things that you're going to want to put into work, and so you're going to
Mm.
try those things. So I think that recognizing that time is a factor. So I'm doing the research and I'm looking for the people that are out there doing these innovative things. And when I
Mm.
find them, I get so excited. I just want to share it and say, "Oh my gosh, you're never going to believe this person is doing this." And if that's something that can help you, please check it out. But also, we don't always consume on the same levels. So sometimes I want to see
Mm.
something visual, like a video podcast. Sometimes I'm just in my car or I'm running or I'm
Yes.
on a walk and I just want something maybe telling me 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of my time. Well, I'm going to be driving anyway, so might as well learn something. So you take away a tidbit
Mm.
impacting any of the other time slots in my day, and then I'm gaining something valuable. And if it resonates with me, I can either use it or what I love to do is connect people with the things that they need. And so now maybe I just store that away for later, but then I go, oh my gosh, there's someone that I know that's struggling with a student. Maybe it's their child and they're saying, I don't know what to do. They're not reading. You go, have you tried this? And so I often hand out
Mm.
past episodes like prescriptions. I say that's the way that I'm a
Right.
doctor now. My prescription is please listen to this episode because then when you hear the person in their own voice telling the thing that they've created,
Mm.
they've done, I feel like it's more impactful than me telling them. I can direct them to the resource, kind of like a horse leading someone to water, right? To say, listen to
Yeah.
it. And then if you want,
Yes.
follow up with that person, follow up with that free resource. And oftentimes
Mm.
they will. And the results are really profound. There was a woman who was saying, for instance, my child, her child was really struggling, and I said, really would love you to listen
Mm.
to this one episode. It's a local woman who's created a dyslexia and dyscalculia assessment, and then gives free
Okay.
resources and support for it, which I found phenomenal.
Mm.
When my own son
Mm.
went through that, there were no resources.
Yes.
So I'm able to do that. So then I did, and then I was able to have feedback to say that child, the mother persisted it. She's a wonderful advocate for her child. So she went to the episode. She listened to it. Then she followed up with the person, and then she was able
Mhm.
to have her child tested. Discovered her child had dyslexia, was able to give the support and then change their entire trajectory because the child now is confident, happy, learning, reading, and it made school not a battle, but something that was a pleasure,
Mm.
changed his outcome. So when I look at that, I think a life was changed because I was able to connect someone who had a problem with a real resource that was able to help,
Mm.
effective. That's when you know you're making a difference, and that's what the podcast is about.
Oh, wow. So that podcast is a must for the teachers and parents to actually get benefit because the way you are actually executing everything on it really makes sense and really resonates with the parents and educators out there because these are all the things which being an educator they are somewhere somehow facing. And
Mm.
being a parent, obviously every parent has its own experience when it comes to a child. Every child is different and unique. So I'm sure, and for the viewers, we will be sharing the link of this podcast in the
Thanks.
description of this video. You can definitely, subscribe to it and get benefit from the useful content and a research backed content which Dr. Lisa is producing over there. So, Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and expertise, and especially the relevance of what you have shared is has a high value for the parents and educators out there, because these are all the problems and challenges and opportunities out there meant for these specific people. So before that, we wrap up. So what is that, though you have shared a lot, but what is that one piece of advice that you would like to give to those parents or teachers or those girls or young women out there who are actually navigating or facing challenges in learning, growth, or may it be the confidence spirit? So what is that thing from your side can actually, benefit them if they are going to opt for it?
Yeah. I would say to always remain open and
Okay.
curious, and that your voice is very important. And so, through curiosity, by remaining open to what's happening around you, not being afraid to take opportunities and to advocate
Mhm.
for either your child or a student, even for yourself. I think that our voices are very, very they that they resonate and that they're important. And just to remember that you are resilient and that our goals are rooted in our life. And so if we just think about what kind of opportunities are around us, stay always true to your own goals, and that
Yeah.
if you are curious and you advocate, that that life can take you in some amazing paths. So just remain open to what life has to offer you, and that everything, no matter how difficult, it actually gives you the strength to help others. So by going through ordeals, by going through things that are very difficult sometimes,
Mhm.
I found that it gives me the opportunity to kind of lend a hand to someone else. And so the more people we lift up, I think that the better life is.
True, very rightly said. And what a beautiful advice that, be true to your goals. This is really, really, really important. And for the audience out there, what Dr. Lisa has shared is actually, literally pearls of wisdom. So if you are going to only practice one single thing out of it, I'm sure you're going to get benefit from that, because at the end of the day, the entire change is going to be for yourself. The value will be created for you, your family, for your colleagues, and the community around you. Dr. Lisa, we are so glad to have you here, and for your time and for your wisdom. And we'll definitely be, going through your
Mhm.
podcast to get more insights regarding different other topics that you've explored over there. And we wish you all the best for what you're doing. You're doing
Thank
a great and phenomenal job, and we need more people like you around the globe so that we can create positive impact for the communities around us, because now this world is like, it's a global village and we are all the global citizens.
Yes.
Boundaries are just meant for the governments and for the institutions, but as if we are going to see it as a whole, so we are like, global citizens. And the
Mhm.
work that you're doing, specifically in education sector, has a lot of value and power, because once they are going to graduate, they are going to get, specifically for the earliest, they will have this learning with them for lifelong.
Mhm.
So more power to you, and just keep up the good work that you're doing. And for the audience out there, thank you so much for watching this episode. See you again with another exciting episode. Till then, take care.